and welcome back to another episode on Financially Fluent. I am your host, Jacqueline Mutuma. I'm so excited that you're here today. And yes, so before we get into today's video, let me say that I have gotten most of your requests. Some of you sent via WhatsApp, others TikTok, and some of you via the YouTube channel, okay? And most of the things that you guys are requesting for, we will tackle all of them. Actually, some are in the program that I had created in the first place. So we will come across them as we progress on in the channel, okay? But I am so excited for your feedback. Thank you very much. And yeah, without further ado, let us continue. Let's dive into today's topic. And as you have seen from the topic today, we'll be discussing on wealth building habits. This is actually the last video that we are doing under foundations of financial literacy, okay? After today's video, we now move into the complex finance stuff. All of that, although all the things that you have been requesting for, we now dive deeper into those topics. By now, I am sure and I'm hoping that you have a broad overview of what financial literacy is. And the good thing is, when you learn financial literacy, you become financially fluent, and after you're financially fluent, you are now able to live a financially free life. Become financially free, and that is the goal. That is the long-term goal that we all have. We want to get to that point where money is not an issue, right? And so it starts by understanding. We first have to learn about it, and then we become fluent in it, okay? And then after that, we now become free. So as you can see, this whole process is actually, it's a journey. It's not something that you'll sleep and wake up and you are magically wealthy, or no, it doesn't happen like that. And true wealth is actually built with time. And wealth is a lifestyle that you choose to live with one decision at a time, okay? So the decisions that you make, especially revolving around money, those decisions are the ones that will determine how soon and how wealthy you're actually going to be. So remember that wealth is a process. They're not get rich. It's not a get rich quick scheme. Wealth is something that you build, because even as you continue to learn about wealth, you also need to develop as a person. If you're given $1,000,000 shillings, not even dollars, if you're given $1,000,000 shillings right now, if you're not financially literate and financially fluent, you will end up misusing that $1,000,000 shillings, okay? And that is why we took time in the foundations of financial literacy, so that we can be able to understand when you speak about financial literacy, what does it constitute of? We had to understand all of that. We had to learn the habits, which we are going to see right now, that actually are going to help us in developing ourselves, so that when we get there, when we now build that legacy that we want, that wealth legacy, we will have developed as individuals, we will have developed our mindset, we'll have developed to be able to handle the huge amount of money that we would have made, okay? So, I'd like to say this, that wealth building habits, they are consistent actions, choices, and mindset that position someone to grow, manage, and retain wealth, okay? They actually shape your financial future, all right? And as I said, the decisions that you are going to make regarding your finances, that is actually what is going to determine the time it's going to take and how wealthy you're actually going to be, all right? So these habits, they touch on how we earn, they touch on how we spend, they touch on how you save, they touch on how you invest, and they touch on how you think about money. So as you've noticed, I've said save and invest, because we need to build something. We first need to save so that we can be able to invest. I said that in the savings and investments video that I made, okay? And then I'd also like to say that being financially fluent, it's not about knowing terms such as ROI, like return of investment or net worth. Okay, yes, you're going to understand what these terms actually mean, and they're going to help you, because if you end up being an entrepreneur, if you end up getting into the business world, you need to understand what these terms mean. So being financially fluent, it's not just about understanding these terms, but it is building a mindset that you are able, as you understand these terms, you know how how to relate with the terms. Okay, you know what they truly mean, so that when you go outside there, you're a business person and you're hearing big words, you will not float, if I may say so. Okay. And also something else, being financially fluent, it revolves around applying what you know, making informed decisions based on what you know, and being in control of your money, and your money not controlling you. I always speak about control every now and then, because as I said, guys, I have an experience from all of these things that I'm teaching you. I know how it feels when your money has a control over you, and it is not a good feeling. You need to learn. Your money needs to learn to submit under you. Okay? You are the master of your own money, not the money being a master of you. You're supposed to be the master of your own money. You're supposed to learn to control your money, and not vice versa. Okay? So obviously, learning these habits will help you break the circle of living from paycheck to paycheck. It helps build confidence in the money decisions that you make. You also reduce financial anxiety. Okay, and then you are able to build long-term wealth, which is our end-term goal, and not just short-term cash. We do not need money to just be able to live now and not cater for tomorrow. Okay, we need to have the long-term wealth and the long-term goals that we have. Okay, and so being financially fluent will help us in building this long-term wealth. Okay, also being financially fluent, it aligns with the biblical principles of stewardship, discipline, and provision. Okay, so remember that being wealthy is about stewardship. Remember that God is the source. God is the source of everything. He just gives us resources. Okay, your job is a resource. Your business, the profits you're making from your business, that's a resource. When you invest, when you get interest back, that's a resource. But remember, God is the source. We are just caretakers. Okay, so we need to apply stewardship into that which God has placed in our hands. We need to learn to manage it and to be able to use it for kingdom advancement, obviously to satisfy our own needs, and also to be a blessing to the community at large. Okay, and then also, so I have given a brief overview or introduction into what wealth building habits are. So these habits, I'm not even going to explain them. I'm actually just going to say what they are, because we have spoken about them. We spoke about them in the previous video. So let me just go through them. But there are included three special points, which I'm going to say them at the end. Okay. So these habits include living below your means, paying yourself first. I hope you understand what it means by paying yourself first. Paying yourself first is actually saving and investing your money before you start tackling the other bills. Okay, so as soon as you've gotten your money, before you start paying your rent and doing everything, after you've deducted your tithe, remember to pay yourself first. And by paying yourself first, I mean remember to remove the portion that is going into your investments. Okay, and then obviously avoiding unnecessary debt, investing early and consistently, budgeting, but budgeting with a purpose. Okay, You're not just budgeting. Your budget needs a purpose. Why are you budgeting? Are you budgeting so that you can be able to manage the little money that you have wisely? Are you budgeting so that you can be able to clear off the debts that you have? Are you budgeting so that you can be able to live the amount of money that you want to leave for your investments? Why are you budgeting? When you place a purpose on your budget, then budgeting becomes very easy. Okay. And then number 6, continuous financial education. Okay. And I will really emphasize on this point. Continuous financial education. You need to continually teach yourself and learn about become financial literate. Okay. And then move to a point where you're financially fluent, and then you'll obviously achieve financial freedom. Okay. And then number 7, most importantly, is giving generously. So in my previous video, I really explained why giving generously is such a good habit, because aside from you helping someone else and tending to their needs, someone who is not able to do that, and giving also, it breaks that hold that money has over you. Okay, so giving generously, that is the 7th wealth building habit. So those are some of the 7 common wealth building habits that we have, but as I said, I included 3 extra points that I call special points. Okay, and number 1 is about our mindset. So our mindset matters. We need to have a mindset shift. So instead of you saying, I can't afford this, ask, how can I afford this? Remove that negativity aspect from your sentences, okay? Instead of, I can't afford this, you're supposed to ask yourself, how can I afford this? So I learned something the previous Sunday, I believe. Yes, I learned something from the guy who was preaching from church, okay? And I'd really like to share this. So it was from the book of Romans chapter 4 verse 17. Romans 4:17 says that you are supposed to call the things that are not there as if they were. And also, I also learned that our consciousness, it doesn't know to differentiate between what is real and what is not real. So our consciousness will react to the things that we actually tell it. And you know why I'm saying remove negativity from your sentences? Because if, for example, right now you say, I am not broke, do you know that your consciousness will not pick I am not broke, it will pick I am broke. That not in the sentence, it will just assume it as if it was never there. So instead of saying I am not broke, by you saying I am not broke, what does that mean? Money is the one that is not in your life, right? So, and in accordance to Romans chapter 4 verse 17, which says, call the things that are not there as if they were. So if you're declaring you're not broke, that means you are rich. Okay? You desire to be rich. So if money is the thing that is not there in your life right now, then call it. Say, I am rich. If you are overburdened by debts, say to yourself, I am debt-free. Do not say, I do not have debts. Say, I am debt-free, okay? And so this is where I said mindset matters. And you can see why I called this 3-point special points, okay? So we need to learn to change our mindset, okay? Remove that aspect of negativity from your sentences, okay? Call the things that are not in your life, but you desire for them to be. Call them as if they were in your life. Start by saying, I am healthy, okay? I am blessed. I am a genius. I am smart. I am wealthy. And all these things will follow you. They will literally follow you, okay? So that was point 1. And then number 2 is, I want you to understand that small habits, they will always bring forth big results, okay? I remember that habits compound just like interest does. So when you start doing something today, you do it for 21 days, and then I believe after 21 days, that is when it becomes a habit, or is it after the 60 or the 90 days? But the point is, remember that habits compound just like interest does. So you start by doing something today, you've started small, and then you continue doing it, you eventually become a pro in that thing. Okay, so you start with budgeting today. Today might be hard because it's your first time, but then do not give up. And then I always say this, remember that when you start doing something, distraction always follows intent. What I mean is, for example, you have just started doing something. The moment you've done it day one, you've done it day two, you've done it day three, just when you think you're getting momentum, and then something comes out of nowhere and tries to stop you. You're not supposed to let it bring you down. You're supposed to move past that thing that is stopping you from achieving the goal that you had actually purposed to achieve when you first started doing that thing. So you start investing today. Month one, you've invested 1,000 shillings and you're so proud of yourself. That is so good. Month two, and then when you get to month three, something comes up and you start debating with yourself. I don't know if I'll be able to invest this month. Finances are so tight this month. Do not stop. Do not break that cycle, that habit that you're building of investing. Do not break it, no matter what happens. Remember to take the 1,000 that you're investing and put it aside in your investment, wherever place you are investing. Okay, and then number three is about faith. When you combine faith plus finance. Okay, so I want you to understand that building wealth, it's not about greed. And as I said when we started, it's about stewardship, building a legacy, and the impact that you're going to have in the community. Okay, something else that I also wrote here that is very important is, when you align your financial habits with godly principles, it builds both spiritual and financial maturity. Okay, and I believe these two areas are the most important areas of a human being, of all of us. Okay, because one touches on your finance, you need money to do basically everything with life, and the other also touches about your spirituality with God, and that is also a very important aspect of your life. Okay, so remember that every time you're doing something, if you're starting a business, align the goal of that business with godly principles. Okay, so when you're starting the business, obviously the end goal is for you to get money, all right? But aside from getting money, because the money will eventually come, what else are you serving in the community? How else is that business going to impact the lives of people? How is it going to bring change? And if you learn to do that, if you learn to align your financial habits with godly principles, then things will always work out. As long as you don't give up, as long as you keep on pushing forward and make sure that you stick to these habits that we've spoken about, then things are going to be okay. All right, so that marks the end of today's video and the end of the topic on foundations of financial literacy. Okay, so yeah, I believe up to that point, all of us understand what financial literacy is. You've known what being financially fluent actually means. You now have a clear goal. You've written your goals, and you're ready to embark on them. Okay, so now we are going to dive deeper into how we can be able to avoid debt, or if you already are in debt, what can you do to get out of debt. We are going to look into different ways of investments. We are actually going to cover all of that. Okay, we're going to do a lot. So this marks the end of today's video. Remember to like, remember to share, remember to subscribe if you have not yet subscribed. And until next time, bye.